Hello everyone and welcome back to Covetous Imp Gaming. Today I wanted to talk about running a turn-based dungeon. Please like this video, leave us a comment below about videos you would like to see in the future, hit the subscribe button and the bell so you're alerted to our future content, and check us out on Facebook and Patreon. Those links are down below. So a little background on this idea. I was invited to a friend's house to play the Resident Evil board game, and a lot of what I experienced in it was kind of like Pathfinder-esque, where moving and making an attack were all parts of the things that you could do on your turn, but you couldn't exceed a certain number of actions. And every time you open a door or walk into a room, there's the chance that something could happen. And this kind of got my brain going into massive overdrive of what if this was in D&D and this was how you ran an entire dungeon. They walk in the door of a wizard's home, for example, and I'll use the wizard's home as the example for this entire thing as we break down the different aspects of this game. You walk in the door of the wizard's home and you roll for initiative, and that's the order that people are moving in. But you keep your typical movement. It's not going to break down into you have to move or attack and things like that. I wouldn't get that into that part of the game. But when you look at the differences in movement, like, some dwarves only move 25 feet, and barbarians can move up to 40 feet, and monks can move, and then you're taking into consideration dashes and things like that. You're moving at a different pace through this dungeon and have a very good chance of, if you're not kind of dialing back your movement, you could be leaving people behind. Now again, there was opening a door and closing a door. That was an action for your, one of your actions for the turn. And in the game, that in Resident Evil, closing the door behind you was a big deal. So as you progress through this dungeon, you might be the one that has to open the door, but now that's your action for the turn, and you walk in and there's a fight to be had. But you've used your action for the turn to open said door, and now you could move, but your turn might be over. So it calls in more strategy as far as, well, you open the door because I might have to run in and swing on something. And kind of like making your front person isn't necessarily going to be your hard-hitting or tanky person. Your front person might be your healer, who might just open the door and move in and get out of the way because they might not need to heal right away. So now another important thing is your antagonist. This gives your antagonist and his legendary actions actual depth as the dungeon itself progresses. So in the scenario that we ran, we were hunting down a police chief who was, he was holed up in the police station, and he was just, trying to basically clear out zombies, but kind of assuming that anybody that was coming in was also going to eventually turn into a zombie. So he would wait at the end of a hallway, and somebody would open a door, and he would take a pop shot at them and then flee. So you've used your action to open the door. He's now a wizard. You've used your action to open the door, and the wizard, the evil wizard, is going to have a readied firebolt, for example, and firebolt whoever opened the door. Following that, they're going to make whatever movements they have left, and now it's time for your legendary action of move or misty step or whatever to flee deeper into the home. So for me, one of the biggest things is always sense of urgency. There always needs to be this emergency feeling. There needs to be stress, and the idea that everything is progressing turn-based means that you might only be in a room for a couple seconds and you're passing through onto another room. Even if there's a low CR creature in there that the party has to fight, you might only be in there for a total of 30 seconds between walking in, closing a door, having a little fight, and moving on. they might stop and search the room, but that gives you more times to roll on this die to see if something bad is going to happen in the room. But it also, with the fact that you are unable to rest in this place, it makes certain things come at a higher commodity. Your spell slots are going to be very, very careful with spell slots as you progress through it. But the biggest, and to me, what I think it would be the biggest commodity is your movement. If you can find traps that restrict movement and that are based on saving throws, so you really only need one person to fail to have the trap really be effective. If one person fails and have their movement speed even halved, like slow, for example, is the person who can move 40 feet going to move a full 40 feet when one of their party members can now only move 15? And it's that, the sense of urgency to move forward still needs to be there, but you're not going to stop and dispel magic that slow. You would just wait for it to pass. But every time that you're slow rolling the rest of the party's movement, you're giving something else time to happen. The last thing that kind of pushes that urgency forward is having like an urgency dice. For example, you roll a d20 and you definitely want it to be that the odds are safe. So if you roll a d20 and on a 1 to 15, nothing happens. On a 16 to 19, something happens. And on a 20, something really bad happens. Monsters are spawned, or the trap resets and goes off again. And having that, the wizard's obviously in control of all these things happening, but doesn't necessarily need to be in the room to make these things happen. So that's it for the turn-based dungeon. I hope you guys like it. I'd love to hear what you guys think, any ideas that you have. I am going to try to maybe put something together as like a PDF to kind of throw together what this wizard's home might look like. So if you want to see something like that, please let me know down in the comments below. Thanks for watching. We appreciate all the support, and we'll see you soon.